My name is Vasanthi Mahajan, and I am the Director of Data Science at Qubient. Today, we're going to be talking about exposing SynthNet, or which was one of the biggest ad fraud that we caught in 2020. It was majorly focusing on the mobile app ecosystem, but more of it later. Starting about who we are, Qubient is basically a technology company with a mission to transform the digital advertising industry. Our focus at Qubit has always been to ensure that we create a more controlled and a transparent environment for everybody to have a clean and fraud-free ecosystem. We want to make sure that any fraud that's there in the industry is being caught before our advertisers spend money on either of the ends. And that's been our major goal at Qubient. We have some wonderful partners who we work with. Uh, Now, if you're wondering how we do that, there are several ways in which Qubient has tried to accomplish this. Our major focus has always been about speed, accuracy, and safety. And we have several products that have been built to ensure that every loophole that is there in our system and there in our ecosystem is being dealt with correctly. And our focus has always been to have like a smoother environment where everybody has full potential of increasing their revenue and maximizing the ROI. One such product that we're going to talk today about is Kai. So Kai is basically Cubian's proprietary in-stream AI-based fraud prevention system. As we said that it's a patent pending product. Kai detects fraud in real time, and we use machine learning and AI to do that. How we're different than anybody else who's there in the market is we make sure that we work in stream. That is, every inventory that comes through us is being analyzed in real time and being checked for any fraudulent aspect of it, and then is being cleaned in real time. Kai works at a very fast speed. We just have the response from Kai within 5 milliseconds. So there are several different statistical and machine learning models, both supervised as well as unsupervised, who have been trained into Kai, and all of them decision within 5 milliseconds, which gives us enough time for the entire ecosystem of 300 milliseconds to make sure that every bit request that we get is being scanned, and any fraudulent inventory that is being present in the ecosystem of any kind is being identified in real time rather than actually going post impression or pre impression analysis. And we make sure that our goal is to prevent our customers from losing money before investing any money into fraudulent inventory. So that's our main goal, which is why we've developed the in-stream AI-based fraud prevention system. One such fraudulent network or fraud ring that was caught by Kai was SynthNet, which is what we're here to talk about today. SynthNet is basically a fraudulent synthetic network which was designed in such a way where web-based or computer-generated traffic was sold as legitimate mobile application traffic. So what the fraudsters were majorly focusing on was completely creating fake or synthetic requests, which weren't really coming from any particular real users, but were hidden in such a way that those seemed to be really legitimate requests and weren't being flagged by any of these fraud prevention companies. The focus of the criminals was heavily on the top tier iOS based applications. And they majorly focused on the mobile applications because those are the highest CPM rates that they could have gotten. We also saw that Synthnet was majorly focusing on the video ad placements rather than the traditional display inventory, because there were a lot of loopholes in terms of how fraud prevention is being done in the video, and they were really smart to make sure that they take advantage of these loopholes and make sure that they get rid of it and come out of it and make sure that these seem to be really legitimate requests, which weren't really being flagged by anybody, but they were actually stealing money from our clients. So now the biggest question is, how was Synthnet actually doing it? So Synthnet is basically a central control system bot, which was deployed directly by the fraudsters on their own system, meaning that Synthnet wasn't really infecting any system or making any requests from any systems or any machines. It was a completely centralized own system of theirs own. They were just creating they were controlling the entire pipeline from the beginning, controlling how the requests are going to be sent across, what the requests are going to be part. Every aspect of it was not true, and every aspect of it was synthetically generated. Synthnet was widely spread across the entire United States. For that, they use a cloud server broker, and this was deployed across different cloud providers like Google, Azure, AWS. These Synthnet clusters were then deployed using these cloud server broker, and from them, this traffic was being sent to our SSPs and ad networks. So we saw that these clients who were actually pretending to be Synthnet, I mean, these people who were running the Synthnet network, who were actually pretending to be real users from of our partners and SSPs and ad networks, every request that came from them seemed to be super legitimate, and nothing was seemed to be fraudulent, that it would be marked as fraudulent and would seem suspicious. So now the biggest question is, if Synthnet was so smart, why were we not able to catch it, and what was actually happening? So every aspect of the request that came from the SynthNet was not true. It was spoofed or artificially created. That's why we named it SynthNet, because it was synthetically created. And there were several data points that were being spoofed. Some of the data points are listed here. They are the user agent, IP address, the device ID, application name, bundle ID, publisher ID, and the geo information, that is the latitude and longitude. So most of these aspects are really, really key in decisioning for an ad tech inventory, and all of these information were being spoofed in a very thought out manner that none of them would be able to, none of the flagging system would be able to catch it. Um, so yeah, so talking a little bit about how Cubient and Kai was able to catch it. Uh, in early Jan 2020, what we observed that there was a really high spike in the anomalies that were being marked by the unsupervised machine learning algorithm. On analyzing these anomalies, we saw something strange. The user agents, which were generally coming in from the mobile web traffic, was actually being labeled as coming from mobile app traffic. And all of these user agents were a little funky, a little different than the usual user agents. They were really, really old versions, almost like 10 years older versions that they were using. And they were not really like a normal user agent that you would see, but there was nothing abnormal about the user agent that any of those checks might actually catch it. Those user agents were just different and unique, I would say. So rather than using the word abnormal, I would say those were like unique user agents. So on digging more deeper, we saw that these user agents were actually um, been picked up from a database which we were able to find, which was like an open source database of the user agents that was available for everybody to access. Those user agents, we were able to find the identical matches right to the T, with every smallest detail absolutely matched correctly. Even the versioning was to the point. It had more than 50,000 entries in that database alone. So that's the first entry point where we saw that this must be the place where the SynthNet users are actually taking this inventory to create these artificial requests and send it to us as a legitimate request. Uh, the second thing that we saw was that the IP addresses were also being rotated, but they were being rotated at such a high degree or high volume that if you would just have like a simple algorithm to check the number of requests that you're getting from a particular unique IP address every second, it wouldn't really flag. So then we dig deeper to see where these IP addresses are coming from, because none of them were actually fraudulent IP addresses. And then we were also able to locate a predefined list of IP addresses from where these malicious users were actually taking in. The third thing that we also observed was that the publisher IDs were being manipulated. So even though our clients that we were working with had the legitimate sellers.json, uh, but we still saw that the SynthNet was able to manipulate these publisher IDs and send an incorrect publisher ID in their transaction. We also were able to, so these publisher IDs were not really like real strings, but they were a combination of different multiple substrings, which we also were able to locate from a database. So analyzing the whole pattern, we knew that there were different sources from where these web requests were generated, and they're looking at the size of the humongous databases that these guys were using. It was very easy for them to create like random pattern and include enough randomness that none of these traditional fraud prevention companies or fraud prevention mechanisms would be able to catch this kind of a fraud. So I know you must be wondering if you were also a victim of Synthnet, and if you also were part of their whole trap. But don't worry, Qubient is here to help you out. There are several ways in which Qubient can help you get more transparency and get more information about your data. There are various ways in which Kai can be integrated in your system. I'll be happy to address any questions if there are, and we can talk more about it. But yeah, if you have any more information, or if you need any more information, feel free to contact us at the below information, and we'll be more than happy to help you out.